Hey, what's going on, CoinOpTV subscribers? Robert Welkney here. We're going to do a very special review of Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue with CoinOpTV's contributor, video producer extraordinaire, James is in the house. What is up, James? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing extremely well. I got to play Kingdom Hearts for the first time ever, and it's my first time with the franchise, and yeah, it's pretty dang exciting.
So let me show the graphic here. So this is a sort of a collection of a few things here. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, carried over from the 3DS, remastered a bit, has a Kingdom Hearts movie, and also the other thing is the Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth of Sleep, a fragmentary passage, which links to Kingdom Hearts 3 upcoming. How far along would you say you are? How many hours do you think you put into this? This is sort of a review in progress, we'll say.
Well, I put 3 hours into Kingdom Hearts Point 2 Birth by Sleep, and I finished it in 3 hours, so it's a short game. And then I've also got about 2 hours into Dream Drop Distance, and I've barely scratched the surface on that one. The video is an hour long, and I also watched that.
Okay, and we got some gameplay we're going to show of this. If you guys are watching this and you have some questions, concerns, let us know in the comments on YouTube. James is also going to put together his review article for the website, and of course the website link is in the description below. So, James, where would you like to start with this? You let me know, and we'll start. We'll obviously we can't talk about the movie. Well, we can. We can talk about the movie. We can't show any of the movie at all. Do you want to start there, since I don't have anything to show for that?
Let's start with the movie, because that's nice and fast. It's called Kingdom Hearts Key back cover. They use a little X symbol, but it actually means key. I learned that from watching the movie. It's about an hour long, and it's a quick retelling of the story for Kingdom Hearts Unchained, which was the mobile game that came out last year. You know, you might have gotten friend requests for joining people's unions and stuff like that. I didn't even realize it had a story, even though I played it, but apparently it has a story. The movie explains what the story is, but if you are like me and you've never played Kingdom Hearts before, the movie makes no sense at all whatsoever. If you are a fan of it, apparently it explains a lot of very important backstory details, so I'm going to have to revisit it after I've played the original Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, how was the animation on that? Was it like, this is kind of a new thing, like a modern, this movie's kind of recently made, right?
It's actually done what looks like Kingdom Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts Point 2 in-game cutscenes. So it actually looks really good, but you're not going to get like the Final Fantasy Kingsglaive movie from last year that was a lead into 15. Not that level of quality, but the animation's fluid, the graphics are good. Definitely worth watching, especially if you want a little bit of backstory on the unions and the various characters from there. But you're not going to see anyone like Sora or Riku. You know, the main characters, the characters people know. Okay.
All right, so let's move on, because I got some gameplay that I want to get to show and
Absolutely.
some of the viewers there. So which one do you want to go to next, Dream Drop or Birth of Sleep? Birth by Sleep?
Let's go with Birth by Sleep, because I'm sure that's what everyone wants to see.
Okay, so this is the preface of this, as I understand this is like leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3. Is that a good way of phrasing it?
I think so. This is the transition from the games that we already have to the game that we're looking forward to. It, again, doesn't star the characters that you're probably familiar with, Riku and Sora. It's instead a character named Aqua, who I didn't know who that was, but apparently she was a main character in Kingdom Hearts Point 1 or one of the DS games. You play with her for about 3 hours. You're joined by another Disney character. You can probably guess who, but I won't say who it is. About halfway through. It's a great introduction to the combat, the movement, the exploration of the area. I don't really know what the story was. There's not much Disney side to it. It's very Kingdom Hearts, with the exception of Cinderella's castle plopped down randomly into the middle of it.
Okay, we're watching some gameplay here. It looks like some jump around, fighting against some bats. I got the Keyblade in your hand there and some magic stuff. Visually looks pretty stunning. Did you find visually and the graphics and the sound that it was appealing?
It was definitely visually stunning. I actually took plenty of screenshots in the middle of this game too, because I was just like, wow, look at all this stuff. It runs really well. Not exactly at 60 frames per second. It did dip a couple times, but not badly. I only encountered 1 or 2 technical hitches. For the most part, though, it runs beautifully. It looks beautiful. It feels fluid when you're in combat. It only took me a little bit of time to get used to the combat system, and then the magic was actually very intuitive. You hold down one button and you can then have a quick menu which lets you cast spells very quickly, which I'll come back to with Dream Drop Distance, because that's kind of a step backwards in terms of that. Dream Drop Distance is a step backwards, that is.
Okay, and so this is, let me get back to me. So this is, how long is this? You said about 3 or 4 hours or so?
I'd say it took me between 2.5 and 3 hours to finish. I played it on normal. There is a more difficult mode, a hard mode, and then once you beat it, you can do New Game Plus with critical mode, which I would imagine is even harder than hard mode. That I would expect will take several hours to beat, even for veteran gamers.
All right, let me jump over. One of the clips you sent me was Mini Boss, so we're watching some of that now. This looks like you're in a dream sequence here, sliding down some. This actually looks like a scene from Dishonored, where you're in the Outsider's lair. This looks very similar to that. If you guys are Dishonored fans, so how many bosses do you encounter in the playthrough for this?
I'm trying to think. So the mini boss that you're seeing right now, you actually encounter multiple times. This is only the first time you encounter him. And then you even find multiple versions of this guy at the same time, and then there's a super version of the boss. So I'd say, counting him only once, because he's multiple times, there's probably like 3 or 4 bosses in the game. And it's pretty clear when you get to a boss fight. It's not like, oh, he's just a slightly harder monster. No, it's a very serious monster with multiple stages that you have to go through. It can be a very difficult fight, but very rewarding once you beat them.
All right. Was there any like major surprises with the with this chapter, I guess we'll say, of the collection?
I don't think there were any surprises. I think obviously someone who's more familiar with the series will probably be able to say whether or not there were any major revelations or anything like that. But in terms of content surprises or moments where it was just like, oh no, what's going on? This section didn't have any, but I will say this, for fans of the series, you need to sit through the credits, pretend this is a Marvel movie, sit through the credits, and wait for what happens after, because that's probably what you're actually here to see. That's when the characters that you recognize will pop in, but I won't say why.
I jumped over to the Forest gameplay you show right now. Looks like there's kind of a lock-on targeting system. Can you talk a little bit about the combat, how that sort of works?
Yeah, sure. So the combat is basically jumping, dodging, and blocking, one attack button, and then also the quick menu for magic that I told you about before. And then on top of that, there is a lock-on system, which is fairly intuitive. You just hit the R1 button, it locks onto the closest enemy, and then you can switch between enemies with a different set of buttons. But after that, it's pretty straightforward. You can button mash if that's your thing. Just keep hammering away on the attack button, and it will automatically jump to the characters that you're trying to get to, assuming you're locked onto them. Or you can try and be tactical about it and block and do counterattacks and twists and turns. I don't know if they brought the flow motion controls over from Dream Drop Distance. It didn't seem like they did, but it might be something that they add in with Kingdom Hearts 3 or something that needs to be unlocked later. But it's a very smooth combat system, very intuitive, very easy to pick up and play, but there's depth to it if you want to spend the time to actually get into it. I would actually compare it favorably to, say, the Arkham games. That doesn't have that counter mechanic that game does, but the fluidity and the jumping between enemies is very natural.
All right. It looks great. I'm seeing that. I'm almost like, hey, I almost want to go out and pre-order Kingdom Hearts 3. We don't have a release date. We don't have any pre-order information like that. But is this a selling thing when you playing this, or you're just like, I need my Kingdom Hearts 3? Is this a thing for you now?
I think it is. I'm looking forward not just to Kingdom Hearts 3, but also 1.5, 2.5, which is coming out later this year, the remakes of 1 and 2. They obviously were already out for the PlayStation 3, but I didn't play them. And with how much fun this combat is, I'm not even too worried about the story. I'll just play it and start beating up these Heartless just for the fun of it, which isn't to say I won't enjoy the story too, but yeah.
Are there, speaking of the story, are there like NPC characters? Do you meet people and talk and interact? Is there a store to buy stuff or upgrade?
In this game, in Point 2, there is not a store. There is nobody you interact with. You have no conversation choices. You will meet a Disney character, like I mentioned before, and that character will join you in your party. But aside from that, there is nothing. You have an omniscient narrator who will talk and say kind of what's on Aqua's mind. But other than that, there's no interaction with this. Now, I don't think that's going to be true for Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously, but in this game, most of the RPG elements, upgrading, money, etc., are not in this.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's move on to Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which is an HD port from the 3DS game. I actually played some of this at E3, and I thought visually it looked pretty cool. It looked pretty fun. I just had a hard time with the button configurations. The developer that was there was like, oh, that's the Japanese button configurations. They didn't have the localized ones set up yet. So let's talk about that. Did you have a hard time with the buttons? Is it like, you know, jump and attack are in weird places, or do they kind of get that in order now?
I actually had more of a problem with that in Kingdom Hearts Point 2 than I did with Dream Drop Distance. I kept trying to jump, and I would end up attacking instead, or I would do a backflip because that was the dodge button. I think Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance was a little bit more intuitive, but they might have fixed it from when you played it. It might be the localized American version, whatever we use as our standard. The one issue I had, and this is for both Point 2 and Dream Drop Distance, is I tend to use an inverted joystick for camera control, up, down, you know, like a flight stick or whatever. Mm-hmm. However, that translated also into targeting, which I normally do with normal translation. And there's no way to split the two. So either my camera is weird and I don't know what I'm doing with the camera, or my targeting is weird and I don't know what I'm doing with my targeting. I think one option in the option menu would fix that. We'll see if they fix that for Kingdom Hearts 3.0.
So we're looking at playing some gameplay now from Dream Drop Distance here, and graphics visually it looks pretty nice. So this time you're playing as Sora, I believe.
You're actually playing as both Sora and Riku, just not at the same time. The game mechanic, the drop part of the title is you drop between the two characters, and they're playing in like parallel universes of the same place. So you're both in Traverse Town, which is the main hub area, but not at the same time, and you can't do the same things. And it's kind of weird like that. It's a lot of fun though, because you know, very easily they could have just had it be, oh, you're doing this part with Sora, and now you're doing this Riku in the same time, but no, the story is actually different, and you're kind of interacting with the story differently at the same time. And it forces you to switch between them. You can't just keep going with a single character.
All right. Now, as a game that was brought over from the 3DS, is there anything sort of missing from touch controls or something like that?
No, they actually did a very good job of translating the touch controls into regular joystick controllers. There is a little bit of a weird thing because you have pets in the game, very Pokemon-style pets that you level up and you care for them, and you have to pet them, literally pet them every once in a while. And it just feels weird with the joystick because you're just thumbing up and down on the joystick, whereas I could see on the touchscreen it would make more sense where you're using a stylus or whatever.
All right, I'm showing some of your gameplay that you labeled Pet Battle. Is that like a little side mission thing with your pets that you pet?
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. So your pets, which are dreams, you get to use them both in pet battles, which there's an arena for, and that's what you're seeing right now. But they also join you in regular battle. So when you're fighting the Heartless, the little black monster thingies, your pets can join alongside you, and they'll start beating up the Heartless, and you can even link up with them and do like combo attacks with them. So like there's a little cat-like thing that I've got there, a fat, very fat cat, and you can actually link up with it, and you'll ride on the cat's back and just start pounding away on the ground and just doing all sorts of area of effect damage to all the bad guys around you. It's different, but it's fun.
Okay. So, you know, overall, let's summarize here. We got this collection. Is there anything missing from the collection? Any little Easter eggs or hidden things in the menus that besides watching the end credits and watch the movie a couple times? Anything else that's in here? This is a $60 a game on PlayStation 4. Is it, you know, like is it, are you getting your bang for your buck on this guy?
I think Getting your bang for your buck on this one is going to largely depend on whether or not you've already played Dream Drop Distance. Because if you're getting it just for point 2 and back cover the movie, you're getting about 4 to 10 hours of gameplay, depending on whether or not you want to run through it a second time with, you know, the critical mode or whatnot. That's not going to be worth $60 to most people, although most Kingdom Hearts fans are probably going to drop it no problem immediately. Now, if you're like me and you haven't played Dream Drop Distance before, $60 is a great price for this, because that game is going to be at least 20 hours long. The upgrades to it from the 3DS version are great. You mentioned the graphics are fantastic. They definitely did a great job with getting the texturing and the graphics engine updated for modern HD consoles. You're not going to mistake it for point 2. But it's not like, say, Ultimate Marvel Alliance that came out recently, which looks the exact same as it did 10 years ago. This looks like a game that you would have seen maybe at the mid-range of the PS3 era.
Okay, cool. So James is going to be working on sort of his full review for the website, so this is kind of a work in progress. Before I wrap it up there, anything else I'm sort of missing that you wanted to touch on? Any wow factor or this is a terrible decision that was made factor?
You know, even if you don't buy this game, even if you're not willing to drop $60 on it, if it comes to Redbox or your local video store, if you have a local video store, definitely rent it, because you can finish up Birth by Sleep in 2 or 3 hours, and it is a great experience. Even if you're going into it blind, you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, you have no idea what's going on, because I have no idea what's going on, and I still loved it.
All right, awesome, James. So thanks for talking us through some of the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. It's out now for the PlayStation 4. Retail price $60. Make sure you check out James on Twitter. There, I got his link there, Vagabond Peak. And if you guys are new to CoinOpTV, please subscribe and let us know in the comments below what you thought of our review. And if you're gonna pick up the new Kingdom Hearts, remastered there, something like that. If you're excited for some Kingdom Hearts 3, which is probably the one that I'm most excited about. So thanks a bunch for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Jesse.